Hello and welcome to the My Immigration Hub app. We're here to help you finish your case as quickly as possible while also doing everything possible to ensure your case is hopefully approved. We're going to provide a few tips to help this process go as smoothly as possible and answer some of your questions. This first video is about 5 minutes long and will explain how an extreme hardship waiver works. We hope that by explaining this process to you, it will help you know why we ask for certain items and information. First, we need to clarify a couple important terms you will hear a lot during this process. Anytime you see the term applicant, this is referring to the foreign national who is applying for the immigration benefit and hopes to gain permission to lawfully reside in the United States. The second term you'll hear a lot is qualifying relative. This refers to the spouse or parent of the applicant who already has either United States citizenship or lawful permanent resident status. Let's talk about some tips that will help an extreme hardship waiver gain approval. For a case to be approved, we must convince the government that the qualifying relative needs the help of their applicant relative and that the qualifying relative will experience an extreme hardship so great without the support of the applicant relative that the government decides to let the applicant relative lawfully reside here in the United States. The word extreme is used because a degree of standard hardship is considered normal and not unique. Our goal is to demonstrate extreme hardship to earn an approval. To do this, the government has established a handful of categories they use to assess hardship. First is health. In other words, how will the health of the qualifying relative or someone he or she cares for be negatively impacted without the support of the applicant? For example, does the qualifying relative or one of his or her children have a medical condition that requires frequent doctor visits and the applicant is needed here to continue working so the family can pay for those doctor visits? Next is finances. How will the qualifying relative or someone he cares for be able to cover expenses without the support of the applicant? For example, perhaps the applicant is the primary provider for the family and must work so the qualifying relative's basic expenses are paid. Education refers to how the educational experience for the qualifying relative or someone he or she cares for will be impacted without the support of the applicant. For example, if one of the qualifying relative's children requires special assistance with school and the qualifying relative devotes additional time to this child, will the qualifying relative be able to continue providing the same level of assistance to this child without the applicant's support? Next is personal or cultural considerations. For example, are there significant language, cultural, ethnic, or religious obstacles the qualifying relative experiences which necessitates the support of the applicant? Are there other close relatives in the United States which the qualifying relative needs to remain close to? Personal and cultural considerations are any other factors not already considered in those categories that would be dramatically impacted if the qualifying relative did not have the support of the applicant on a regular basis. Our goal is to help explain why the applicant is critical for the success and daily functioning of the qualifying relative. If we can adequately explain this, it is much more likely that the case will be approved. And as a reminder, these factors must be addressed not only from the angle of the qualifying relative trying to manage in the United States without the support of the applicant, but also explain why the qualifying relative could not simply return to the home country with the applicant. If we can successfully explain why neither scenario is sustainable, the case is much more likely to be approved. Documents must be provided to prove the stated hardship for the case is true. For example, if the applicant works and helps pay for the qualifying relative's expenses, both pay stubs and proof of expenses are required. Another example may be providing medical records to demonstrate the health challenges the qualifying relative experiences. Here is an example of the types of documents which will likely be needed. Any hardship included in a case must have a document of proof to back it up. If a document of proof cannot be provided, it is very likely that either a request for additional documents will be issued or the case may simply be denied. We don't want either of those to happen. So, this is an idea of the documents that are needed for your case. We promise not to request a document that we do not actually need for your case. We are absolutely on your team and realize how difficult and how exhausting this process can be. We are asking in return that you would please trust us and know that we are here to help and only asking for those things that are needed. If you would please work with us as quickly as possible, we will do everything possible to give your case the strongest likelihood of approval. A couple of reminders. All the documents must be current, meaning less than 1 year old. So there's a very good possibility that you will be asked to provide something that you have already provided earlier if it is dated older than that. There's also a possibility that even documents without a date will need to be re-provided because they were used for a different part of your immigration process. And for this part, we must start fresh with our documents. So please be patient with us and realize that if we are asking for a document, it is truly needed. We so appreciate your willingness to work with us and look forward to finishing your case as soon as possible. Thank you so much.